Okay, we are looking at the physical, the social, the mental, and the emotional benefits of physical activity. This is found in chapter 10. It's found on chapter 10, page 182. First slide. What I want you to do is I want you to pause the video. I want you to go into your textbook. I want you to use pages 183 like it says there, and I want you to create a summary of the benefits of being physically active. Okay, how you want to do this is entirely up to you. You can do a table, you can do a mind map, you can do dot points. Me personally, I want you to be a little bit creative. I want you to create a mind map for me. All right, so pause the video and come back once you've done that. Okay, then I'll get you to later on submit that through Teams. So here are some of the benefits. It's just a summary. I'm not going to spend too long talking about it. I think most of these are pretty self-explanatory, but social benefits. Human beings love to socialize. Okay, we don't like being alone. We don't like being isolated. It's not good for our mental health. So being physically active encourages us to make new friends, to meet new people, get out there, get active, that sort of stuff. The environmental benefits, okay, they're all pretty self-explanatory. Being physically active, it reduces traffic congestion, it reduces all that sort of stuff. Noise pollution, greenhouse emissions, because obviously people are riding their bikes or walking to work or whatever it might be. The physical benefits and mental benefits, we have a better quality of life. We're not quite as overweight. We're not carrying that excess pudge, if you will. Motor skills are improved, concentration, memory, learning, they're all improved. The economic benefits are there because it creates employment, building new gym equipment, maintaining it, running PT classes. Absenteeism is decreased because people are healthier, they're not getting sick as often. Yeah, so have a read of this list. It's not an exhaustive list, but it is, it's there. Physical activity participation, the health benefits. Again, you can see all the benefits there. It reduces the risk of stroke, coronary heart disease, blood pressure, diabetes, colon cancer. There's so many benefits of it. So, health risks that are associated with physical inactivity. So, hyperkinetic diseases. The term wasn't used when I was going through school, but it's basically used to describe disease caused by a lack of movement. So we're going to look at type 2 diabetes and obesity. So type 2 diabetes, wrong button. It's a disease that results from too much sugar in the blood. The cause is because the body is not producing or using the insulin properly. So all of the food that we eat, it gets broken down into its simplest form, sugars, glucose, that sort of thing. And that's what provides us with the energy for physical activity. So the role of insulin is to convert those sugars in the blood into energy. So by not undertaking, the body develops a tolerance to the glucose in the body, and as a result it won't produce as much, which increases the sugar levels within the body, and it just spirals out of control from there. I have a little video which will hopefully explain it in a way that you guys can understand it, which we'll put up in a second. So exercise and physical activity, it's been shown to increase the body's sensitivity. So the body is able to better use the sugar, the glucose in there, and decrease those levels so it's not being stored.
Hey, I'm Charlie O'Connell, the founder of FitScript, and we're here in the FitScript training studio. And today I want to share. Hey, I'm Charlie O'Connell, the founder of FitScript, and we're here in the FitScript training studio. And today I want to share with you an easy analogy to help you understand how and why exercise affects insulin sensitivity. So, when you consume food and that food breaks down into glucose, the glucose enters the bloodstream and insulin facilitates the storage of that glucose into one of 3 places inside your body. You can think of those places like parking lots. Now, parking lot number 1 for glucose, the valet parking garage for your glucose, is the liver. However, the liver has a limited storage capacity. If the liver is filled up already with glucose, it doesn't matter how much insulin is present, glucose cannot be stored in it. And if that's the case, glucose bypasses the liver and heads for the next parking lot, which is your muscles. Now, your muscles parking lot also has a limited storage capacity, but unlike your liver, you can change the size of your muscles parking lot through exercise. The more you exercise and the larger your muscles become, the larger the muscles parking lot becomes, and the more glucose can be stored inside those muscles. Now, if your muscle parking lot is full, or you have very little muscles, then glucose will bypass that parking lot as well and will head for the 3rd parking lot inside your body, which is your fat adipose tissue. Now, your fat adipose tissue is like the long-term parking lot at Newark Airport. No matter what, you're always going to find a space to park glucose inside your fat. Unfortunately, that's how we gain weight. Now, let's stop for a second and let's talk about insulin. Insulin is a regulatory hormone that is central to glucose and fat metabolism inside the body. Insulin causes the liver cells, the muscle cells, and the fat tissue cells to absorb glucose, and it simultaneously prevents the use of fat as an energy source. You can think of insulin like a traffic cop. When insulin becomes present in your blood, it says, stop fat, come on in glucose. And as long as insulin is present in your blood, fat can't be used as an energy source, and glucose will continue to be absorbed by whichever parking lot is not full. So, how and why does exercise affect insulin sensitivity? Well, when you exercise, you empty your muscle and liver parking lots. Let's say, for example, you're doing bicep curls. When you do a bicep curl, your muscle uses the stored glucose inside of it to provide energy to perform that activity. Eventually, that stored glucose runs out. In other words, the parking lot becomes empty. At that point, your liver kicks in, and your liver responds to that exercise by emptying its parking lot to provide glucose for the muscles. Eventually, both parking lots, the muscles and the liver parking lot, empty. And when that happens, you've created the space inside your body for insulin to store glucose in the place where it's supposed to be, either your liver or your muscles. Now, for people with type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, exercise can have an enormously positive impact on increasing insulin sensitivity and lowering blood glucose levels. Essentially, what exercise does is exercise frees up the traffic jam of glucose circulating around your bloodstream and creates the space. It opens the parking lots of your muscles and your liver for glucose to go, and it stops the fat parking lot from continuing to expand. This also may help you understand why a side effect of injectable insulin is weight gain. If you're injecting insulin and you're not getting exercise, there's only one place for the insulin to store that glucose, and that's in your fat cells. Now, for people with type 1 diabetes, this explanation can also help you understand why you may be suffering from hypoglycemia after exercise. There is a direct relationship between the depletion of glycogen, i.e. the emptying of the muscles and liver parking lots, and an increase in insulin sensitivity. If you have type 1 diabetes and you get a great workout in, and you empty the muscle and liver parking lots, the next time you eat food, you'll need less insulin than if you hadn't worked out. Why would that be? Well, after a workout, the muscles and livers are empty. The muscle and liver parking lots are empty, and less insulin is required to facilitate the storage of glucose into those parking lots, as opposed to if they were already full, then the glucose then the food that you eat will be stored as fat. Hopefully this has been a beneficial and easy analogy for you to understand, will help you understand how and why exercise affects insulin sensitivity. For more great tips about safe and effective exercise,
So hopefully that explained it better than what I probably could. If you look at the graph on the left, you can see the mortality rates for type 2 diabetes, which, I mean, it has come down, but still 16 deaths per 100,000. So obesity was another one. 60% of adults and 30% of younger people are considered overweight or obese. So that table there is the BMI. The BMI isn't exactly the best indicator for, excuse me, isn't the best indicator to work out if someone is overweight. I mean, it's used worldwide, but it doesn't take into account things like muscle mass. Someone who is very, very muscular is going to show up as probably being overweight or obese because muscle weighs more than fat, and it doesn't take into account the difference between fat and muscles. So that's worked out by simply dividing your weight and your height squared. So it's your weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters squared. So, you know, it's not quite as simple as saying, well, you're not doing enough physical activity, so that's why you're fat. There's a whole range of health issues and reasons why people can't be physically active, or even if they are physically active, you know, they put on weight for sleep conditions, polycystic ovaries, there's a whole range of different issues. So what did the government do? They created a series of guidelines to try and, you know, encourage people to be physically active. And let's have a look at these guidelines now. So it was developed in consultation with health experts. It was meant to be, you know, something that was part of everyday life and not an inconvenience. So we had to think of movement as an opportunity, not an inconvenience. We had to be active in every day, in as many ways as possible. They wanted you to put together at least 90 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity activity on most, if not all days, and also incorporate some extra high intensity activity to improve your fitness levels. So let's have a look at the Australian guidelines. So this is just a summary from page 193 to 195 of your textbook, but there's some interesting things there. You know, no more than 2 hours and 1 hour of electronic media, depending on your age. You know, you guys, 12 to 18-year-olds, you're meant to be active every day. No more than 2 hours of electronic media for non-educational purposes. So, you know, it's a little bit different if you're sitting at school or sitting at home, but still you should be getting up and going out and doing stuff. So there's a summary of those guidelines there. And my video has disappeared. There I am. So campaigns. These are a number of campaigns that have been, you know, released over the number of years. Sorry. David Hughes, I don't actually believe has ever made it to TV. Could be wrong. That was just something that I found off a website, but he, you know, is communicating the same messages as what all of these other videos do, which you'll see. A couple of these clips are just a compilation of videos. So, you know, once you've watched sort of one, you've probably watched them all. So, You don't necessarily need to sit through them all if you don't want to. Life Be In It was a really good one. It went worldwide. So I'm going to stop talking and let you guys watch some videos.
My name's David Hughes and I'm the Chief Medical Officer at the Australian Institute of Sport in Canberra. Australia is a sporting nation. It brings us a lot of happiness and brings a lot of emotion into our lives. Unfortunately, we've got a problem, and the problem is that we're becoming a nation of individuals who watch sport more than participate in sport. 1 in 2 adults is not getting enough physical activity. We know that 8 out of 10 children are not getting enough physical activity in their lives. 68% of Australians are overweight. This is a huge problem. It puts a huge strain on the health budget and the health resources of this country, but it also really decreases the quality of life for everyday Australians. A really sad statistic is that the average Australian sits for 39 hours a week, whether that be at work, in the car, or on the couch. Australia needs to have a plan. If we don't have a plan to change our physical activity culture, the health of Australians is going to continue to deteriorate. Every Australian needs to find 30 minutes a day to be physically active, and they need to do this at least 5 times a week. Parents, you need to ensure that your children get off the screens, get outside, and be physically active. The best way to ensure that this happens is to do it with them. There is overwhelming level 1 evidence that regular physical activity improves mental health, improves mood, and improves self-esteem. We all live really busy lives, and at times it seems impossible to find the time to be physically active. So you need to use strategies. Fortunately, in Australia, there are many opportunities to join sporting clubs. There are a range of different organised sports. There are many fitness clubs. There are a range of gymnasiums. And if you really like exercising with people, that might be the option for you. But remember, it is not just organised sport that delivers physical, psychological and emotional health benefits. It's just being physically active. And you can take opportunities to be physically active by doing simple things like gardening, washing the car, doing chores around the house, going for a long walk. If you do go for a walk, we like to see you get your heart rate up, so every now and then try and walk a bit faster just to elevate your heart rate. The more you can elevate your heart rate during exercise, the greater the physical benefits. But remember, if you haven't exercised for a while, start slowly and build up. The good news is that the prescription for improving your quality of life is quite simple and quite cheap. You must get up, you must get moving, you must get active, and you must find your 30.
"25 years ago, Life Be In It sent a wake-up call to Australia. Being active can be fun, it said, but not only fun. Being active also makes you healthier and happier. Everybody got the message, or almost everybody. But 25 years on, there are people out there who seem to have forgotten the Life Be In It message, or weren't around in the first place. So maybe it's time for another wake-up call.
Be in it today, live more of your life.
I said you gotta get up and get moving.
Get moving for an hour or more a day. And for more info, go to healthyactive.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Won't be a second. Just have a seat over there. I'll be 15 minutes, okay? Great. And she said to me, come along to yoga.
Beauty hairdresser, time waster. I thought I was too busy to find 30 today, but your magazines inspired me to hit the pavement.
There are opportunities every day. 2 lots of 15 minutes is an easy way to find 30. Authorised by the State Government, Perth. 13 minutes down, 17 minutes up tonight. Joe and Dan have found an easy way to get the 30 minutes of daily physical activity everyone needs for good health. Find 30. It's not a big exercise.
Ready, set, go.
There are hundreds of little ways you can start getting healthy, active and involved. So come on, Victoria, visit goforyourlife.vic.gov.au.
Ready, set, go.
There are hundreds of little ways you can start getting healthy, active and involved. So come on, Victoria, visit goforyourlife.vic.gov.au. There are hundreds of little ways you can start getting healthy, active and involved. Visit goforyourlife.vic.gov.au. There are hundreds of little ways you can start getting healthy, active and involved. Visit goforyourlife.vic.gov.au. There are hundreds of little ways you can start getting healthy, active and involved. Visit goforyourlife.vic.gov.au. There are hundreds of little ways you can start getting healthy, active and involved. Visit goforyourlife.vic.gov.au.
Go! Go for 2 fruit, 5 veggies, low fat, no fat. Go! Go past the drive-through without slowing down. Go for that special person you haven't even met yet, or the one you have. Go for long enough to be a grandparent and to spend all that super. Go for yourself. Go for me. Go for your life. Go to this website. Go for your life. Go for a walk. Go for a run. Go for a swim. Whatever. Just go. And go for long enough to help avoid diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Go for something other than hot chips. Most of the time. Go for the clothes you want, not the ones you can hide in. And the freedom never to ask, does my bum look big in this? Go for yourself. Go for the people who love you. Go for your life. Go to this website. Go for your life. Go for 2 fruit, 5 veggies, low fat, no fat. Go past the drive-through without slowing down. Go for that special person you haven't even met yet, or the one you have. Go for long enough to be a grandparent and to spend all that super. Go for yourself. Go for me. Go for your life. Go to this website. Go for your life. Go for a walk. Go for a run. Go for a swim. Whatever. Just go. And go for long enough to help avoid diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Go for something other than hot chips. Most of the time. Go for the clothes you want, not the ones you can hide in. And the freedom never to ask, does my bum look big in this? Go for yourself. Go for the people who love you. Go for your life. Go to this website. Go for your life. Go for 2 fruit. Go! Go for 2 fruit. 5 veggies. Low fat. No fat. Go! Go past the drive-through. Without slowing down. Go! Go for that special person you haven't even met yet. Or the one you have. Go! Go for long enough to be a grandparent. And to spend all that super. Go for yourself. Go for me. Go for your life. Go to this website. Go for your life. Go. Go for a walk. Go for a run. Go for a swim. Whatever. Just go. And go for long enough to help avoid diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Go! Go for something other than hot chips. Most of the time. Go for the clothes you want, not the ones you can hide in. And the freedom never to ask, does my bum look big in this? Go for yourself. Go for the people who love you. Go for your life. Go to this website. Go for your life. Go! Go! Go for 2 fruit. 5 veggies. Low fat. No fat. Go! Go past the drive-through. Without slowing down. Go! Go for that special person you haven't even met yet. Or the one you have. Go! Go for long enough to be a grandparent. And to spend all that super. Go for yourself. Go for me. Go for your life. Go to this website. Go for your life. Go. Go for a walk. Go for a run. Go for a swim. Whatever. Just go. And go for long enough to help avoid diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Go! Go for something other than hot chips. Most of the time. Go for the clothes you want, not the ones you can hide in. And the freedom never to ask, does my bum look big in this? Go for yourself. Go for the people who love you. Go for your life. Go to this website. Go for your life. Go! Go! Go for 2